We all use web browsers to access information every single day. Today, I'm excited to share with you one that might revolutionize how we browse the web. What's up, friends? Paul here, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. Today, I'm excited to talk about this new web browser. And let me tell you, I've used many different browsers over my lifetime. Some include Internet Explorer, may it rest in peace, Opera, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Apple Safari, Amazon Silk, Brave, just to name a few. I'm sure there could be others that I've downloaded and tested over my lifetime as a person that loves technology. But those just to give you an idea of some of the ones that I've tested. But today I'm going to talk about one that I would say is unique. It kind of doesn't fall into the normal category of web browser that we're all used to. I would say the majority of people typically use either Google Chrome, maybe Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, and maybe Safari. Those are probably the top 4 browsers right now. However, this new browser by the browser company of New York, kind of setting off waves. And we're going to dive into, I decided to record this via video as well. For those that want to watch this, you can go to YouTube, as well as Facebook, Spotify. Those are the places that you can access the video, because I'm doing a screen recording to kind of give you a glimpse of what it's like to use this browser and what makes it unique. So for the full experience, I encourage you to check it out on those platforms. However, I'll do my best to be as descriptive as possible. So again, this browser is called Arc. It's newer to the game. I believe it was first released to the public around April 19th, 2022, after a closed beta. It's founded by Josh Miller and Hirsch Agrawal. Apologize if I butchered the name. But basically, one of the things that I love about this browser is actually the team behind it. It's very humanized, and the people that are working on this project come from a wide variety of backgrounds that I think make this project just so unique compared to, your typical browsers. So that's, I think, a little bit of background. Right now, we're actually looking at Google Chrome. So if you're wondering what this browser is up right now, it's your typical Google Chrome. I thought we'd start there, keep you with the familiar, just to get an idea of what it looks, what your typical browsing experience looks like before I show you the Arc browser. I first discovered the Arc browser by a newsletter by Rich Webster. Basically, he sent an email that he was testing out this browser and that he had to wait to get it. And I was like, what browser makes you wait to get it? And so I had to figure out what was going on with this browser. So I joined the waiting list as well. Probably a couple weeks later, I got access to it. And let me show you, to prove that I've been using this browser for a while. I'll actually show you right now. So this here is the browser, a little bit different than probably what you're used to. But if we go to here, the credits, basically they did something I think other companies do, like where they, people write their names inside of the, the hardware, different places to memorialize a moment in time. And so Arc did this for version 1.0. So it says, Arc is a new way to use the internet, brought to you by your friends at the browser company and by every member who tested it along the way. So I won't scroll down this long list, but if we search my name, there I am right there. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. So full disclosure, I tried this browser, when I first got it, it didn't really stick with me at first. I kind of went back to Google Chrome because one of the biggest differences that you'll notice right away, now that we're looking at it, is the sidebar. There's no bar up here. They did add this kind of ability to have the web address right here, which is, it's nice to have that. You can hide the sidebar. It's a Command S to hide it. And so you have a very clean look for browsing the web, which I think makes it a very unique product. So you have basically different sections. You have your pin tabs at the top. The unique thing about this is if I hover over, it actually shows any upcoming events. You can tell right now I don't have any upcoming events. So that's why we're recording this right now. It also works with Gmail. They show you a little preview of your email, which is really neat. And then you can have like pin tabs. And so these are some of the pin tabs that I have. The way that it's organized, first of all, you have profiles. Similar to Chrome, like you can have profiles. I bet most of you don't use profiles on Chrome, maybe a small percentage of you. And then you have the ability to have spaces underneath of that for each of those. And that helps you keep the information very organized and clean. That way you don't mix information, and it just is a very good way of doing that. And so down here, you'll notice these are my different spaces. So I can quickly change between them. So if I'm in a different mode, like for example, I devoted one to just like my podcast, I can quickly go there and it's got all of the different platforms that I need to quickly access. Like if I want to go to my show notes, I can just click here and here are my notes for this episode. And let me show you the peak mode. This is really cool. And it works in like email and certain web pages that will, like, if you need to just like take a look at a glimpse at a web page without opening up completely, you just click on it and then you get this preview window that just pops up, and you can either open it up completely with doing Command O, or you can close it with Command W or clicking either of these buttons. Just a great way to like quickly see information without necessarily having to open up a new tab. You know, it's a little bit cleaner. So that's kind of neat. That gives you a quick idea of that. So if we go here, this is the browser company's website, and you can tell, you know, just even in the design of their website, they're just kind of poking fun at the typical browser experience, and they want to make a difference with their browser, which I love. And so, yeah, I tried it and I stopped, but then I tried it again, and I'm trying to see if I can replace Google Chrome with this. There's been times where I'm just like a little bit frustrated with the experience, and I'll dive into some of my frustrations and things that I love about it, so that you can make an informed decision whether this is something that you should try or not. But first, let's dive into the UI and UX experience, the user experience and the user interface. Arc is beautiful. Like hands down, this is probably the most beautiful browsing experience that I've ever experienced. I mean, it's just so clean. The onboarding is just beautiful. Like it's just, yeah, you just have to try it for yourself, honestly. But they make it such a pleasure to work with. I'd say that it's funny. One of Arc's biggest competitors and non-competitors is Google Chrome. Why do I say that? It's because it is built using Chromium as a base. So there's this software called Chromium, which is like open source, which people can use to make variations of basically Google Chrome. So Google made Chromium and people can use it to make other browsers. So for example, Microsoft Edge is a Chromium-based browser, just in case you're curious. And the unique thing about that is that, for example, you might have different extensions in Google Chrome, and you can have those same exact extensions within the Arc browser. So all those extensions that you've come to love and know about, you can use it within Arc as well, which is great. So like I said before, you can preview, your email. Basically, you hover over and it says no unread messages. You can exhale. So that's just an example of what that looks like. And so again, these are the different spaces that you can click through. I'm going to go back to the podcast one, and it just makes it really easy to move between them. Another unique feature of this is that you can do what's called split view. And I believe there's a shortcut. I think it's Control-Shift+. And yeah, that is it. And you can basically add a URL to the side. So you've got like a split view. You can see both of them side by side, which is really convenient. That way, if you're working on one thing and you need to reference something else, like you're making notes, just super intuitive and something that I think most people need when they're working on various projects. And then, again, you can just hide that sidebar and you've got a nice split view situation. So the major organization, I think that's an important thing to discuss real quick, is like you have what's called your profiles. So you'll notice here it says Paul, and I can have a variety of them. At one point, I did have a work one, but I also just thought that it was a little bit too much to have extensions. Like you have to have, this is probably one of my frustrations, you have to have extensions for each individual profile. So consider that when you're adding them. I would say less is more when it comes to that. That way you don't have to add extensions for each one. Like for example, your password manager, you don't have to add that to every single profile, but maybe there's extensions that you only need for one of those profiles. That might be a good use case of it. And you can actually add more than one to this split view. So I can add one more. Oh, I thought I could. Maybe not. Let me see. Let me try this way. There we go. You can have more than one in the split view. You can have, I think, multiple in that split view. But this is just, and then if you want to change out of that, you can actually, they've got a vertical version of it. You can drag this to resize them. So depending on how you want it arranged, that might be something to consider. You can separate all tabs. So we're back to the individual tabs, which is nice to be able to do that. So you've got your profile set up, then you make spaces. And let me show you what that experience is like. And this is going to show you kind of like the neatness about Arc in the design aspect. So we're going to come over here to this plus icon. We're going to just click new space, and then we can name it. I'll just call this test space, and you can create an icon for it. So maybe we'll do a rocket because that's cool. And then you can select the profile. So here you could create a new profile. What this does is it makes it so that they're truly separate. So like if you're logged into certain accounts, you can be logged only into those accounts on certain users. So like if there's, let's say you have Gmail accounts and you want to just have one Gmail account in a profile, you can do that by having these separated out. Like it says, no more flipping between work and personal accounts. It just makes it a lot easier if you want to do that. So you can name it. I'm not going to do that right now, but that is an option. And then you can choose the theme. I think this is a really cool thing, is you can personalize it so that each space looks slightly different. So let's say we want it to be blue, and you can move it around. Let's say I want maybe that as a blue. And then they have these other parameters that you can set. Like you can make it a light blue, a darker blue, and then you can add like this noise, which is kind of cool. You can see it there. It just adds this kind of distressed look to it. Let's add just a little bit like that. That's great. And then you can have automatic appearance, light appearance, dark appearance. So this is what the dark appearance looks like, light, and then automatic. So we'll just leave it like that, and we'll create a new space. You'll notice already it pulled in these pinned tabs up here. And so that is one thing to keep in mind. With the profiles, these pinned tabs will stay with you. But then I'm just going to go to google.com. You can drag this up, and this is also a way to pin tabs, is right up here. And then they have the tabs below. So these tabs below, you can easily clear them all. So they're called today tabs. And I believe after a day, they just disappear. No more holding on to like 20 different tabs. And I think you can go back, at least in your history, you can probably go back and see, if you needed to find a tab. Otherwise, like if you're working on it and you need to save it, I would suggest dragging it up here. That way it's saved. Otherwise, let's say we've got multiple tabs open. Let me see if I can create, let's see, guess why not? I'll make multiple Google tabs just because we're going Google crazy. Okay, so you've got these 3 Google tabs, and then I'm going to hit clear, and then you can see it got rid of 2 of them. I didn't get rid of this one because I'm on it right now. But if I go here and click clear, they're all gone. So it makes it a quick way to just like clear things out. If you're done with like a project or done with whatever you're working on, just to clean things up and start fresh. I love that. And so just to compare this with what it looks like within Chrome, let's open back Chrome up. So in Chrome, what you can do is you can make new groups. So we're going to do this test group. And so it's somewhat similar to what I would say the spaces are to some degree, but I just don't think it's quite as separating the experience, because you can still see all the other tabs. Whereas in Arc, you really, when you're in a space, that's all you see is that one space, which I feel like can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you're working on. Maybe there's like things that you have to reference between the two, and it just like gets a little bit frustrating. That probably is one of my frustrations, is like needing to jump between elements like that. But there's workarounds. You can create a new arc window, but it does get a little confusing, because you might have a page loaded in one window and then you open in a new one and then it reloads that page, and so it's a completely different experience. So something to keep in mind. And then let me show you something that's really unique that you probably have never seen in any browser before, and that is called boosts. So if you right click on the tab, you can boost this site, and what that does, let me bring this in view, is it allows you to customize each page. And I really haven't personally done this much, but I tested it today just to like show you. And it is kind of cool. So just like the browser experience, you can customize the way it looks. So let's say we also want it to be, let's go crazy. Let's make it like a pink. And then they allow you to invert the lightness, so you can go into a dark mode just like that. They allow you to change the size, so we can make it just ridiculous. You can change the case, so make them all caps, lowercase, whatever meets your fancy. You can change the font. So let's say, I don't know if they have comic. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You can do that like old English kind of vibe. So yeah, you can make it your own. And they actually have a video about like making this feature. It's like, nobody asked for this. This is totally not normal. And that's kind of what makes them so unique. You can adjust the contrast and brightness, saturation. It's just amazing what you can do. And then, okay, this is really cool. You can zap things. So let's say I don't want to see the Google logo. I just want to see the search bar. I can do that. I don't want to see I'm feeling lucky. I'm not feeling lucky. I don't want to see try the AI powered overviews. And look at that. It's so much cleaner. I don't need to see store. I don't need to see about. I don't need to see images. I don't need to see this icon. And then all of a sudden, your experience is so much cleaner. So I think that's like one of the unique things about this, is that you can quickly change your experience to make it unique, make it your own. I can imagine things like YouTube, Facebook, if you wanted to go in there and just like clean up your experience, make it your own, you can do that. And you can even share it with other people. You can even inject code. You can change the CSS if that meets your fancy. You can inject JavaScript, but due to security reasons, you can't share it. But that's, I don't know who would be sharing something with JavaScript. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody out there. But yeah, and then you can revert back to the normal view, and then you can delete this boost. You can shuffle it. So it's just like random. Wow, that's crazy. That's not bad. Just gives you an idea of what's possible with this boost feature. We'll go back to normal. Just shows you what's possible. Now let's quickly dive into my biggest frustrations. My biggest frustrations is that I am used to 100% experiencing browsing this way, where the tabs are on top and I can quickly move them around if I need to. I can quickly add a tab. I can pull it out. You can do that with Arc, but it's just not the same experience. And so that's like one of the things that I will say, like, I get frustrated by, because I'm just so used to having tabs up here, easily move them around, adjust them. It's a little bit different within here. Obviously, I can drag this tab and move it to, let's say, the podcast space. And they also have the shortcuts. You can see there, I think that's Shift 8. I always get confused about those icons. So yeah, that shows you kind of how this all works. And then again, the other frustration is just having to install extensions on each profile. So if you plan to use profiles, just keep that in mind until they come up with a universal option or ability to save them to certain profiles. It might be a little tedious setting that up for each profile, especially, think about your password manager. You probably want that in each of the browsers. My other frustration is little arc. So basically this happens when I open up a link from like my email client. Just in case you're curious, I'm testing out this email client called Spark. It's been a fun experience. Like it's a very unique email experience. So if you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description. It's kind of like that preview window. And the problem is that if you click another link, sometimes basically I think it replaces it And so it's sometimes hard to find that. I'm sure they'll address this in the future updates because, obviously this is a brand new browser, not much history, and they are trying things out. They're testing things. I will say that, one of the unique things is they're not afraid of admitting that they were wrong about a change. I think one of the things that they made was like the today links would not sync to a new window. And I think this was actually a requested feature, and then they backtracked on it because people realized that actually it was better the other way. So they're not afraid, going back and making changes to make things better, which I love. But overall, my thoughts are, I love the vibe of the browser. It's very unique. It's a very fresh experience. And I think with the innovative team that's in place, it could really revolutionize the browsing experience. If you're on the fence to give it a try, I'd say go for it. Give it a try. See if this might be the browser that you've been missing, that you've been looking for. Again, I'll drop links in the description so you can check it out. But yeah, just like the onboard experience, whenever you have to have an update, it's really cool. Oh, one last thing. But wait, there's more. They have what's called Easels and Notes. And so this is really cool. So you can just click New Easel, and it brings up basically this like little whiteboard, and you can just like change it up. You can add an image, text, circles, change the color of that, add a rectangle, add text, and then you can quickly share it with anyone. So anyone can view, anyone can edit, and then you've got a link that you can copy and send to somebody else, which is fantastic. And then you have notes as well. So you can click New Note. This is my awesome take note. Okay. And then you can again go share, anyone can view, copy link, send it to somebody. So just a quick way if you want to jot down ideas, record ideas, it might be a good way to do that. Let me know your thoughts. Have you tried Arc out? Are you thinking about testing it out? I think it's a unique browsing experience. If you're used to Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and you're looking for something slightly different, this might be the answer. I'm not sure if I'll end up sticking with it long term, but right now I enjoy testing it out. It's been a fun experience. Again, probably the hardest thing to get used to is not having tabs on the top. Just keep that in mind if that's what you're used to. It might take a little while to get acclimated to the new setup. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. Rate if you're on Apple Podcasts or you're on Spotify. Would love to get your input, and drop a comment if you've made it this far, what browser you're currently using and why. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.